Hi, I'm Abi and this is Abi Mack Reads. First off, I want to say sorry for the inconsistency in videos. My mental health hasn't been great in the past few weeks. I found it, especially last week, really hard to even make one. Obviously I didn't, but I'm hoping that I will be able to, in the future, make more than one video a week, but right now it's just not possible. So I'm going to ask you to bear with me because this will abate. I do go through tough times and easier times, and I just hope that soon it's going to get easier and I will be producing more videos. So please just stick with me. Right, let's talk about some books. The first book I'm going to review today is The Lost Village by Neil Spring. Now, this is a paranormal tale with a kind of twist, a refreshing twist, so I'll tell you why I love this book. It centres around the village of Imber, which is now a kind of ghost town after being evacuated and taken over by the military at the beginning of World War I. The residents of Imber are allowed to come back once a year and attend to the graves of their loved ones and hold a service. And understandably, they are still angry at being ousted from their village. To make it even creepier, there really is a village called Imber in the Salisbury Plains that has been evacuated and is a ghost town for the same reason, but in World War II. This tale begins in 1932 as we follow Sarah Gray. She is contacted by Vernon, a journalist, who may or may not be quite dodgy, but he has some information for her that a serving soldier in Imber has suffered a complete mental breakdown. Now, Vernon's done some more digging and has actually contacted the serving soldiers and the soldier in charge that are inhabiting Imber at the moment, and they've decided that Vernon's contacts, or more specifically Sarah, could be of actual use to them. It is thought by some that the dead of Imber, the paranormal spirits of the dead that once inhabited Imber, are plaguing the military that are stationed there. They are angry at being abandoned, and it is thought that maybe something that went on that they can't explain caused that serving soldier's complete breakdown. Sarah has expertise in this field, and they want her and her estranged partner Harry to come and investigate because the soldiers are terrified. And this is what I like about The Lost Village, is that Sarah and Harry aren't just paranormal investigators, they're there to disprove paranormal activity and come up with a logical explanation, which becomes even more eerie when they try and go and investigate and can't explain what is happening and why. Ghosts are figurative as well as literal in this book. Sarah and Harry's strange relationship makes for interesting working dynamics, and actually it's revealed early on in the book that Sarah, unbeknownst to Harry, carried his child and on birth gave it up for adoption. There's also a lot of spooky coincidences that go on in this book, such as the fact that Sarah's late father may have had some links to Imber himself, something that unravels during the book. Clever and simple writing, a really good plot that keeps you intrigued and hooked are what gets this book 4.5 out of 5 stars for me, and I will definitely be reading the other books in the series. The second book that I'm going to be reviewing for you today is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. Now, this brilliant book focuses on one character. There is a gentle plot, but it is one of the best characters I have read about in a very long time. And it grabs you from the beginning that Eleanor is very much a loner. She works in an office in a graphic art department and never socializes with her colleagues. In fact, they make fun of her and mock her for office fun, which she pretends doesn't bother her. Maybe it actually doesn't. And when work is over, she returns to her flat, to her routine, and her 2 bottles of vodka a weekend and waits for the whole week to start again. Yes, Eleanor is a very isolated individual, but you wouldn't know it from the way she acts. It's as if she's in some kind of denial. And if you add into the mix her awkwardness and her antisocial behaviour, you could start to feel less sorry for her. But the fact that she lives just in her own little bubble and makes absolutely no apologies for the way she is, it makes in her an intriguing and actually amusing figure to follow. As the title states, she is absolutely fine, but you never know what life can bring. It can slowly creep up on you that there is a darkness to this tale, even as the character Raymond enters her life and certain events start happening. The book drops kind of mini bombshells, like the fact that when Eleanor went for her job interview and she had a broken arm, missing teeth and bruises, it drops these little bombshells and then just keeps moving on, and the narrative doesn't actually explain what's happening. So you get these little inklings that Eleanor might not actually be as fine as you think, and you realise that parts of her past might be exposed, and as the book unravels you learn more and more, keeping you absolutely hooked. But don't let me mislead you into thinking that this is a bleak tale. As Eleanor, with the help of Raymond, starts Eleanor living a bit outside her bubble, the reactions to the real world, her reactions to social protocols that she had no idea about, are incredibly hilarious. And when she falls in love at first sight with a musician who doesn't even know she exists, you really just want to protect her from any hurt this may cause. Slowly, as the book progresses, Eleanor tries to become something less broken, and you cheer her on all the way. It's a hilarious, life-affirming book that made me so happy when I read it, and kept making me happy for days after I finished it. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. The last book I'm going to review is Darkly Dreaming Dexter by Jeff Lindsay. I got addicted to the Dexter TV show when it showed up on my Skybox sets late last month, and couldn't stop watching them. And it was only when I was like half watching the credits one night that I saw that it was based on a book. So I got my partner, because it's nice to have a slave, to look it up on Amazon, and to my delight there were 8 books, so obviously I ordered them all straight away. I've read 6 out of the 8 books, but I'm not going to talk you through them all because of spoilers, so I'll review the first book and I'll tell you what I've learnt from all of the Dexter books so far. Dexter is many things. He's a blood splatter analyst for the Miami PD. He's a brother to Deborah, who's also a police officer working for the Miami PD, who's working in Vice and is desperate to get into homicide. He's also the son of his late foster father, Harry, who's very important to him. But more importantly, Dexter is a psychopath and a serial killer to boot. He calls his killings his hobby, and the reason that he can talk about it in such normal terms is because this is his normality. He follows the strict code of Harry, his foster father, who knew that there was something wrong with Dexter while he was raising him, and knowing that he could not stop Dexter's urges, made a code so that Dexter would only kill bad people. As it said, Dexter is a serial killer with a heart. So really, we can assume that there really is no such thing as normal in this book. In chapter 1, we follow Dexter as he goes on a kill with his dark passenger, which is what he calls this seemingly separate entity inside him that controls his need for killing. It's very clever because when this dark passenger comes out to play, Dexter stops referring to himself as I and refers to himself as we. He has a girlfriend, Rita, who he feels is some kind of cover to make himself look more human. Dexter is constantly overanalyzing himself. That does go into the writing, that there are pages where he's just analyzing his behavior and everything so that he can seem more human. And Rita is something that he feels a human being should have, a girlfriend at his age. He has no love for Rita, as apparently psychopaths can't love, but he is strangely fond of her children. He has a strange soft spot for children and has an urge to protect them. I don't blame him for having no love for Rita. As with all of Lindsay's characters, they're very unique, very vivid, and even down to the way they talk. And Rita is just an annoying scatterbrain who can't even finish her own sentences. I wouldn't like her either. Let's not forget his day job. And I found in these Dexter books, I can't decide what is more interesting, his home life or his work life. But in his work life, at this point in the book, there is a killer on the loose. A killer who dumps perfectly positioned parts of bodies with no trace of blood, not outside the body, or more confusingly, inside the body. But as the investigation continues, Dexter finds out something quite troubling, or actually more exciting to him, is that this killer is taunting and teasing him. Somehow, this killer knows things about Dexter and is taunting him into wanting to come out to play. And Dexter does definitely want to come out to play. The dark humour in these books are delightful, and you forgive Dexter of his hobby like straight away because of his cheeky psychopathic charm. I think this is why a lot of lonely women like fall in love with psychopaths. I find it funny that his kills don't bother me about his character, but it really annoys me that he expects Rita to be making dinner for him every night. The chapters are a perfect length and the descriptions are really vivid and humorous. He paints a great scene of Miami, this mesh of cultures of Cuban and Creole, the music, the nightlife, the food, and the roads, the terrible, scary traffic norms that have vowed me never to go near a Miami road ever in my life. It's dark but fun. It's fast-paced, maybe a bit too fast-paced, because I found myself racing a bit forward and having to double back and make sure I hadn't missed anything. But all the books I've read are actually great, and I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. If you've enjoyed this video, please put a thumbs up down below, and if you're new, please subscribe. It will mean a lot to me and my channel. And hit the bell button, because I've been informed by my partner that YouTube are dicks. And if you have an opinion on any of the books that I've reviewed, if you've read them, if you want to know more about them, if you want me to read anything and review anything that you like personally, then please put something down in the comments. Thank you for watching. Until next time, bye bye.